Welcome back to Noteworthy, the newest international songwriting competition which brings together songwriters from around the world who will compete by showcasing their compositions. We have already met 4 of our 8 finalists, and in today's episode, we are going to meet the next 4 and final contestants in this competition and join them in their journey in bringing their song to life. This is Noteworthy. First up, we have Brother Snay from King Williamstown, South Africa, who was inspired and encouraged by his minister in writing and producing music. After showing much promise in his newly discovered talent, he felt it time to compose a song to help and inspire other people to keep holding on to their faith and to never give up. This is his story.
Music has always been part of me, but I've never thought I had it in me because I've always in the background. When KJR came, he saw something in me. He helped me a lot to come out of my shell in writing music, and he taught me how to produce music also. Brother JR, he was a minister, but he was more than that to me. He was like a friend, my mentor.
It's him!
He knew what I was going through at that time. He would tell me all the time that I should always write what's in my heart. It was inspiring to see him when he writes music. Everything was coming from his heart, and the dedication that he put on into his work. I also wanted to do the same.
Growing up, I always want to make it.
The name of the song is Bambelela. The language is Chrissa. It means hold on in English. I can still feel how I felt at that particular time. It was still the pandemic. At that time I was really saddened because I had a lot going on. It was hard for me also to find a job. Even though there were people to talk to, but I couldn't share with them what I was feeling. It was really hard. It was really hard. So this song also helped me to ease out the pain, to express how I feel through music. And that's something that I just found out also recently, with the help of KJR, because he was the one who wanted me to just be myself and who taught me. It's like he understood the kind of person I am. It took me 3 days to write the song. I will always sit outside on my lunch times or when I'm free. Every chance I get, I would take a paper and a pen, I write. Like, even if it's just like 2 paragraphs. What used to frustrate me a lot is that, firstly, I didn't know how to write anything, but I would always pray. I would take a paper and write something. I've always wanted people to know how I feel and also like to showcase my talent to write something. I didn't have a lot of resources to create music and beat. How am I gonna record it, or how am I gonna let everybody know that I wrote something like this? I always thought of things like that. Because of my faith, that kept me going, because I knew, if I would just give up, nothing is gonna happen. So I have to keep on pushing. I kept on praying all the time. That's why I wrote the song Hold On, also to strengthen me when I was weak. I was really inspired, and then God, it's like He used me. Okay, you know what, I'm gonna use you to tell your story, to also inspire other people. If ever they're going through something, they can listen to the song and feel the words of the song, but I don't want them to feel sad. Whatever you're going through, don't give up. Keep on pushing it. I want them to be uplifted and be inspired. That's my goal, and that's what I want when they listen to the song.
Hello guys, I'm gonna let you guys listen to the song. Then I'm gonna need you guys to give me an honest opinion, what you think about the song, you see.
Good things come to brother
song,
Snay.
guys.
That was too good. That was too good.
It left me like
I could
speechless.
think. But is there anything maybe you guys, want to add?
How about we look for one of our vocalists in the chorus?
I know with you guys are going to make it even more better. I want them to feel like, okay, we need to, be inspired and everything. It's not a sad song, it's like an inspiring song.
The main goal that you set for the song is already been achieved, because listening to it now already, like, that's the kind of feeling.
As we were listening to the lyrics of the song, it kind of serves as an inspiration.
I guess that we'll just add on to it rather, instead of having to change certain aspects. It's a blessing also for us to also work on it with you.
We're super thankful that you chose us, to be the one to showcase our talents to the brethren all over the world.
It's also exciting because we get to showcase Africa.
I'm really thankful for the church administration for allowing us to inspire other brethren, not only here in our local, in our district, but all over the world.
The pandemic has taken a toll on many people's mental health across the globe. But for our next musician, songwriting helped to give her peace and comfort. Let's all get to meet Sister Nizel from California, USA.
I was probably around 9 years old when I first started getting interested in music. My parents had always been like, oh, you should learn an instrument. I went ahead and asked for guitar lessons. I do remember there was also kind of a songwriting competition then when we were in the Philippines called Distinct. When they presented all of the songs, there were a group of brothers that came out, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is so new and so different. They were called Voices of Zion. And I was like, oh, I want to do that for my genre. So then I really began my guitar lessons in earnest and really tried my hand at songwriting. I took a couple of poetry classes and just tried writing random songs. When you're a teenager, it's mostly about heartbreak and crushes and stuff like that. But then every now and then there would be opportunities. I had this opportunity to write music about my faith because it helped me really internalize the things I was learning in worship services. I'll just free write verses that rhyme and just try to express everything that I'm thinking. From there, I'll kind of distill it down to the true message of the song. My song is called Until We Meet Again, and I wrote it during a time where we were under the impression the pandemic would only last 2 weeks to a month. And we were like, okay, we're gonna go on lockdown for 2 weeks, and then everything would go back to normal. The song is basically about postponing all your good plans, all the good feelings, until you can be together again. And that's kind of what inspired me. There's also that symbolism, until you meet again in, the holy city, because there were so many people who lost loved ones, people who finished the race, and you kind of just have to hold on until you do. I definitely can never create a song by myself. I always try to find somebody who's really talented in areas that I don't have. It's really great to kind of collaborate and bounce ideas off other people, because sometimes when you have these songs where you're sharing how you feel about your faith, or how you feel about God, or how you feel about what you're going through, more often than not, the other person collaborating with you is either going through something similar or has experienced something similar, and they're able to add that layer of color and feeling. It's actually really difficult to collaborate electronically with music. I really like getting in a room with people who play instruments and jamming and then tweaking and then asking them to try different chords, maybe sing it in a different way. During the pandemic, when we had the opportunity to submit, I really had to find a way to record on my own. I think it took me 40 takes trying to record, and there were a lot of tears. At that time, I was a little bit sick, so I was really frustrated that I couldn't sing in the way that I wanted to sing. I had friends that I could send the file to get feedback, but definitely not what I'm accustomed to doing. One of the big challenges is when we wanted to create a produced version of the song. I really wanted to find a way for the band to meet together. Some of the COVID restrictions had lifted in our county, so we were able to meet in an outdoor setting. Basically, I offered up my garage. We had the garage door open. We were all wearing masks. It was kind of difficult for the vocalist, but I really felt like we needed to kind of come together and decide with the arrangers what the song was actually going to sound like at full production. We could only do that in person. This song is definitely for people who might be down due to the current state of the world. And I hope that it brings them a little bit of hope for those who may have lost their loved ones, who have finished their race, that you'll still meet again in the Holy City. My hope is that when people hear this, they're inspired to, still be happy in the circumstances that we're in, despite how difficult that they are, because as members of the church, we do have that hope that at the end we will all eventually meet again. Hi everyone. I wanted to kind of bring everyone together to discuss this song that I've been working on. I'm going to go ahead and play it for you guys. Feel free to give me your reactions. But until we meet again. Cool.
Yay.
Let's have a review on everything.
So good,
The vocalist.
so cute.
So it sounds a little sad, but I'm really hoping that we can find a way to make it sound a little bit more uplifting and positive, so it can bring hope to people who may be really down during this time and feeling lonely. What's the first thing that came to mind when you heard the song?
I don't know, I'm not a drummer, but like a dun, 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 dun.
Like a offbeat or double time bass.
What percussion instruments make things sound happier and more upbeat?
There's a lot. There's the tambourine, the shaker,
Yeah.
Maybe you could use some electric guitar.
And ended off on like a higher note, and then like with like a lot of instrumentation at the end, it can feel like super fun.
Right before the pandemic, like everything was like really great, and there was like a little dip, and it caused us to kind of really reflect on our lives and our relationships. But then being members of the Church of Christ, like we definitely have a lot of hope and a lot of optimism for like better things to come.
Maybe we could get to a point where it gets quiet, just emotional. I guess that's kind of how you ended the song pop. But instead of just ending it there, an explosion towards the end.
I'm excited to see how like everything comes together once we're collaborating.
Yeah.
Building a business is indeed a hard process and an almost impossible one with the added pressures of the pandemic. Our next contestant shares with us how the challenges she faced inspired her even more to write this next song. Let's welcome Sister Chrissa from Bulacan West, Philippines.
Hi, welcome to my place. Come on, I'm gonna show you my place where I create music. I started writing poetry when I was 9 years old, and then came up with the idea of putting melody on it, doing a different kind of genre. Here is my ukulele, my phone, and my notebook and pen. When my mom went to abroad, I started writing a song for her. It's about my feelings or my situation when my mom have to leave us for a while. You know, the words that you can tell to people, the pain that you can tell to people. Every time I wrote the song, it's kind of message in a reality. Music is a therapy to everyone. That's my way of coping up with their emotions, tapping them with their situation. If they cannot talk with someone with their problem, they will just listen to a song. And I want my song to be a friend for them.
If you can climb, then walk. If you can sing, then talk.
I have business. and I also work. But because of the pandemic and the competitions, it was really hard to survive the business. The only explanation that I can give to people whenever they are telling me, how are you now? How was your business? I cried. Really. It was really hard because you invested not just money but also effort and time. I was giving up. I mean, the time when I had to sell it, I have to stop the business. I can't really talk to people. I am so down that time that I really wanted to cheer myself up. I was at my room trying to reflect things. I also realized that this is not the time for me to really push hard on that and try to go with my other passion. And yeah, that's teaching and songwriting. I wrote the song after I prayed. It was really hard that time. We are all weak on that moment, trying to cope up with a very big changes. That's why this song, and Strongest Version with You, is a reminder that there is a solution in every problem.
The time will come and you'll see the scars from the past will be history.
That's the way I'm talking to myself. That's the way I'm motivating myself. I know you wanted to be positive all the time, but because of hardships, trials, unexpected problems came up in your life, it was really hard to be really okay every day. The song is to make you stronger. When I'm starting a song, I really pray and then ask God for the knowledge and for the patience. It's a reminder that we cannot control the situation, even if it's really hard, even if you wanted to give up. You must be strong and faithful because you know you have the strongest support, and that was God.
The blessings that push me to do my best to live
Hi everyone! Finally, I'm just so excited to meet you po. Let me share to you guys.
Be tougher to stand up and reach the victory. For nothing less possible with God.
Ayun po.
Amazing.
Yes, I did that.
Para siyang ballad rock, and my type of music is more ballad acoustic.
If we can make it a little bit less rocky and more kind of like power ballady.
I actually like yung transition sa instruments. Nasa unang kalma lang siya, and then later on may surprise part siya. Meron ka din mga ad-libs na nilagay-lagay, like I think to add something, siguro baka second voice to just give more dimension sa chorus, for example, or dun sa bridge.
Maybe even if we add some embellishments like an arpeggio or a little bit of a melody to play in the background when it's more silent.
Orchestral elements to it.
I want it to be more modern sound, but at the same time, the empowerment of the lyrics.
Maybe in the beginning, it's gonna be slow, no instruments. The song needs to maybe slow down a little bit, so it will make it more emotional.
I noticed that the piano part is quite simple compared to the rest of it, which is actually quite good because it allows us to focus on the other instruments more as well as the lyrics.
Even if they live here in the UK, we live far away from each other, so but we will make it. Tulong ng Ama.
Yeah.
With the help of God and with some determination from each of us and practicing on our own time, I think we'll be okay for it.
Our next contestant has been a music lover from a young age. Little did she know that an unfinished song tucked up in her memos many years ago would one day be finished to be shared to the world. Let's give it up for Sister Melissa from Washington State, USA.
Writing music has been something that I've been doing since I was younger. My mom, she performs a lot. She writes music. She'd be able to write songs from start to finish. And just to see that her be able to create something like that was something that I thought I could do that too. Also at church, we grew up with a district minister who was very into the arts. We would hash out music that he wrote with brethren in our district. So just seeing that process just made it a little bit more tangible. And that's how I kind of got into it. How my upbringing kind of helped me with my quest to try to write music myself. Back in 2008, I heard about a songwriting competition that the church was doing, and I didn't know it was in preparation for the 95th anniversary of the church. So I wrote a song called Everything I Know, and we submitted that. We were blessed to be able to share our music in the Philippines during the 95th anniversary. I've been involved in other projects, the countdown to the centennial, the closing centennial ceremony, the 50th in the West. I used to have to commute to our local. All you can do is kind of just sit and sort of hum things to yourself. I'd have my phone next to me and I'd record little bits and pieces. I'd come up with a chorus. That's usually where I start. And it's usually just the melody, no lyrics. And then once I kind of know where the music's gonna go, I'm like, okay, I can fit in some lyrics here. Just a placeholder, really. And then I'll fill in a stanza. And that's usually it's the hardest part for me. I wrote Hold Our Hearts Together sort of as an answer to my frustration to what I was observing in the pandemic. It was horrible to be seeing people on the news dying at such great rates and seeing people get sick. But what was really hard to watch was seeing people kind of turn on each other and how much division you can see amongst the people that we live in our country. But even if we have differences, it's important for us to hold the most important thing together, which is our love for each other. This is supposed to be a call to say, even though we found that our differences are louder than ever, you really have to remember that we have to love each other. You could interpret that a lot of ways. There's the fire of the Holy Spirit. You can't let your faith die out. You can't have your love for each other die out. You could interpret it all sorts of ways. So that's where this song came from. And I didn't know which way I wanted to go with it, but inspired by the times that we were living through, I was able to complete the whole song within a couple days. And that never happens to me. To have something come through overnight, it's even more special. Probably just, in my head, it just means that maybe this needs to be heard. I cannot play the music that I write. I write it with sort of a vision of how I think it should be performed, but I'm kind of at the mercy of the people around me. I usually have a drummer, we have a bass guitar player, and we have all sorts of bells and whistles. But when I only had my husband, the guitarist, and brother CJ, the producer, who can play the keyboard, to be able to strip down the song was actually kind of a blessing, because I feel like the song is a little bit more pure. I think the coolest thing is that you can paint a bigger picture with less strokes. So kind of being a little bit more general with the words. I'm long-winded, and a lot of things I write are literal, but to kind of keep things a little bit more vague allows us to be able to connect it with other people more, to know that frustration is something that we share. The best thing about music is that, with any kind of art, is that you are able to connect, or where you are connecting with others that you wouldn't normally be able to connect on. And they decided to put themselves into the song, and it becomes something that you never knew it could be. for joining us. Got another song for us to work on. So I'm gonna need your help because you're always the guy that I go to for all of my songs that I do. And I know like Mark hears me playing, tinkering in the back. I really just want your feedback on it so we can present it the best way that we can. The name of the song is called Hold Our Hearts Together. All right. But I've got you, and you got me too. Our hearts together. So like, that's kind of the gist of the song, right? Like,
I was telling her that it might be good if it's just a little bit more upbeat.
Maybe you could put a couple doubles, double your voice on it, and some backup vocals.
So we're gonna go for like an acoustic feel then.
I think keeping it simple on this one, because if you put too much arrangement, it's gonna take away from the words, take away from the meaning.
Yeah. Sometimes just being a bit more like a wider, you can reach a wider range of people if it's not so directly towards a certain subject,
I agree. Like, I think that making it upbeat would definitely be the right treatment for it. But yeah, I mean, we can't really get a band together even if we wanted to. Not right now. And I know Mark is not someone that I usually work with, but he has no choice because we can't really pull in too many people just to keep each other safe.
It's just the two of us.
Yeah, well, the three of us. I really appreciate you guys helping me out with this.
And that's it! We've met all of our 8 talented finalists and have seen what drives and motivates them in songwriting. Tune in to our next episodes where the songs written by our talented songwriters come to life. This is Noteworthy. See you then!